pie cut. What's going on YouTube? Thanks for tuning back into another video. Today's topic, we are working on this right here, which is considered a pie cut. What we are doing right now is the exhaust for the Integra. Let me flip the camera around and show you what we're working with first, what we're planning to do, and then I'll show you how to do it step by step. Okay, so if you guys are new to the channel, you might not know exactly what we have going on here. I'm gonna give you a rough overview of what we're doing. This is our Harbor Freight bandsaw. I actually picked this up used for, I think it was $80. They retail for about $250. So that was a pretty good deal right there. We're using this in combination with our Eastwood TIG 200. This is our TIG welder, really basic. It actually runs off of 110, so it's easy to use at home, or you can do the 220. That's what we're using for welding, little Harbor Freight welding table. And we are welding up the exhaust today for our 1997 Acura Integra front wheel drive turbo build if you're new to the channel. And we do have a really nice manifold by Whitfield, and I didn't want to do just a regular off-the-shelf 90-degree up pipe, so we ended up starting to do some pie cuts using this machine right here. I'll show you how we did that in just a sec. And so far, since it is V-band, I have a V-band right there. So far, we have a whole bunch of small pie cuts, thin on this side, thick on this side, to do a nice transition, a nice 90. That's gonna be coming up somewhat around here, and then I want to do another maybe 45, have it go up, and then continue on this way. I could do it basically, like I mentioned, a 90-degree just straight up, but we want to do a little something nicer considering that we have such a nice setup already in the engine bay. As you guys know, for those of you who have been on the channel, it's a really nice engine bay. We've done a lot of work to it, and pretty proud of how it came out, to be honest. So back to the bandsaw. What we have here, like I mentioned, is the bandsaw from Harbor Freight. And typically, if you're going to be doing this at home, one thing to know is that on this side, it tells you the angle. Basically the angle that you're setting this portion up, which pivots right there. And if you want to do, for example, a 90-degree bend, what you want to do is cut a 7-degree angle on one side, 7-degree angle on the other side. Together comes to 14, and you add as many pie cuts it takes to reach that, for example, 90-degree. There are a lot of videos step-by-step on YouTube who explain it in much more depth, and a whole bunch of write-ups online as well, so it's really easy to do. I'm just giving you a quick overview. Unfortunately, where it tells you the degrees, you can see right there on mine, it's ripped off. What's that mean? I don't know exactly what angle I'm doing, but we're doing it to our best ability. Another little trick for this, since this is a 3-inch pipe at 1.5 inch on both sides, we mark it with a line. That way we know exactly to do 180. Then I mark it right here, mark it right there, and the lines line up with that when I go to do a cut. The adjustment this far would be how wide you actually want the cut. For example, this cut, the small end is a lot bigger than, I'll give this one as an example. This one's a thin one. Than this thin one right here. I'm probably not gonna use this because it's gonna be a pain to weld onto it. But if you need to do a tight 90, the thinner the better, because you're able to do that 90 very, very close. And then if you don't mind about how long the turn is gonna be, then you use bigger cuts like this. Obviously this is rough. The one I just showed you over there is already cleaned up. Once we get that done with that, we go ahead and use our wire wheel and clean it up, not only on the burrs, but on the outside as well, and then Scotch-Brite it on the inside. If you don't want to buy a bandsaw, you can actually use a chop saw as well. If you're on my Instagram, you already know why I have the candle out. Shout out to the candle. But you can use a chop saw, and it also tells you the degree of the cut and whatnot. The problem with the chop saw, it's a lot more aggressive, a lot louder also. The cut is very, very ugly. So you can get away with it. We've done it in the past with chop saws, but the bandsaw is a lot cleaner, a better tool. Definitely want to have some cutting oil. Right now we're just using PB Blaster. That's what I had laying around. You spray it every couple seconds, or I like to do it every couple seconds, especially on the beginning, on the center. On the end, you already have the residue inside of the pipe, so I'm not worried about it. And you can see right there, I'm catching all the old oil. So like I said, we are gonna be doing the exhaust today. Right now, I'm gonna do a couple more of those pie cuts like I showed in the intro. Basically just, for example, I just did this cut right now. Like I mentioned, we just did the cut like this. Now we're going to loosen this right here. I'm gonna rotate it 180 degrees. Make sure the lines line up. And my desired length, I'm doing them to about right there. And then this isn't always a sure tell, but if you bring this down, you can kind of see from the top how wide your cut is gonna be. I want it a little thinner than that. Do like right there. Line it up to your best ability. That's that right there. Make sure the lines are still correct on the Sharpie. Tighten it down. Then you turn it on again. Make sure to have your safety glasses. And on steel, you don't want to use the highest setting. I have it on the center setting right now so it doesn't burn out the blade too much. So you can see it smokes a little bit. So just go ahead, add a little PV blaster to cool it down and make sure it cuts efficiently, just like if you're using a drill. So you don't want to wear out your blade real quick. So right now we cut it on the other side at that angle. Now we flipped it, we're cutting it at this angle. And it's going to make that angle an angle so we can do pie cuts on it. And then we can tackle that together and figure out exactly how we want the exhaust. I just added some more oil. I'm thinking of doing this like this, and I could end up just rotating it straight and going past the manifold. But what I wanted to do is have it kind of like this, and then another 90 upwards, and then go straight over. It's kind of what I was thinking. The pie cuts that I was practicing on yesterday, this was basically my first attempt. Welded very badly. Then right there, it got a lot better. And right here, I was feeling a little more comfortable. It's still not perfect, it's not good, but right there, I started feeling good. And that's basically how I'm gonna be welding the rest. Right now, it's just tack welded all together, so I can get exactly the exhaust how I want it. Got done on a third cut right now. Or a fourth cut actually, those are just scraps. I have 4 right there to clean up. All right, so for this next portion, I'm putting on my safety glasses. It's gonna be really simple. Right here we have 3, 6, 7 pie cuts. We're probably gonna end up making more later, but I just wanna show you this before we start tacking. You can see right here, here's a better demonstration. There's all these little, I think they're called burrs that we need to take off. We wanna clean this up and get the surface nice and weldable. So what I have right here is my wire wheel. You turn it on, and I'm gonna clean the inside on both sides, and then the outside, and then wire wheel it like that also. So this is pretty much cleaned up. I could go over it a little bit more if I wanted to. A good way to know if you're nice and clean is pass your hand. Obviously you can see there's nothing to catch on. You're not gonna cut yourself right here. It's nice and smooth, opposed to this, which is still like a somewhat jagged cut. And even the finish on the top, you can see that it's a little shinier now because we actually passed the wire wheel. And here, that's a little better in frame for you. So not cleaned and cleaned. And then this, we're gonna Scotch Brite it and then pass some acetone over it to get all the grease off, PV blaster in this case, and then make it good to work. Okay, now that we have all of these cuts already wire wheeled and cleaned off, these are gonna be wiped down with acetone. Just some basic acetone that I picked up at Home Depot. I'm gonna clean my hands first because it has a lot of oil on it and there's not much oil on this. And just to make sure that it's nice and clean so we can get ready to weld it. And looking at it now, it looks like these cuts were a little bit more aggressive than what we used originally on the pie cuts straight off the exhaust. So you can see it has more angle with less cuts. It's not bad or anything, it's just gonna be a little bit notchier than smooth transition. Still completely fine though, still looks a lot better than other people. Some people, not to throw shade or anything, but if they do less pie cuts for more of an angle, it'll look like this. And kind of like, imagine it like this. It's not a very nice transition. So we try to do less angle with more cuts. It just takes a lot more time, a lot more money. Got them all wiped down. You can see how much grease came off of them. Not a whole lot because it was pretty much all flicked off with the wire wheel, but a decent amount still. I didn't Scotch Brite it. I should. We have this little green Scotch Brite. It's pretty basic. You can get that at Walmart. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tack everything together before I do the final weld is when I'm gonna Scotch Brite it. Realistically, we should have just done it now, but we've also done it without doing that. It comes out just fine. So let me go mock this up on the car. And instead of actually welding on our table right now, even though I have it set up, what I think I'm gonna do is just try to ground it directly right there. And if I'm able to, then I might just tack it on right there and try to get kind of a view of what I'm gonna do. All right, so I have my welder over there set up, just turned it on, mask I'm about to put on, the pie cuts over there. On the turbo side, actually, I have my TIG torch right there. I have my foot pedal right there, grounded on the manifold, and it's loosely clamped onto the turbo itself. And with a couple magnets, just regular Harbor Freight magnets, there's one on the bottom too. I'm going to start mocking up what I want to do. I kind of want to come around tight right there and then go out this way. So I'm going to put the small angle towards the curve that I want. So I want it to curve this way and upwards, so I'm going to put it right about here. And if you guys don't already know, I am no professional. I'm just trying to figure this out as I go pretty much, and what I've heard from other people as well. Let me give it a little tack weld real quick. Give it one right there. I don't know why I forgot to put on my gloves, but it's all good. I'll give it one on the bottom, or on the side. The first one splattered a little bit. I think it's because I put the new cup on, but the second one was nice. Just a simple spot weld. The bottom you can see kind of separated right there since we welded on the top. So now that's hot. I'm going to spin this a little bit. Actually, let me loosen the V-band. And since this one's open, I'm gonna squeeze it with one hand while I tack it with the other. This is why spot welding with no rod is nice and easy, because you don't have to worry about filling it. You're just basically melting the metal on both sides. There we go. And we're good. It's welded on both sides. I'll just stick this over right there. And I'll continue on to the next one. Right now I have a little bit of a thicker piece compared to the other cuts that we were doing. I got to a portion that I kind of like, and one of the cuts that I did, or one of the welds, excuse me, I did it off-centered. So I had to cut the weld right there, you can see. I then re-welded it afterwards when I repositioned it and rotated it a little bit, but it was like completely off, so I had to fix that. That's why I had the welder hooked up to the vise right there. But basically, let me give it on my left hand. Basically what I'm getting at right now, it's gonna go around up like this, and then the longer piece is gonna tilt towards around right here. And I think it might come up somewhere right there. We'll see. I'm still playing with ideas. I'm gonna give it this little cut right now. All right, so I just got off the vise again. I had to go over there for a little issue that I had with the last two cuts. But everything's perfect now. I showed you guys in the bandsaw that I was cutting a larger section, and you can see that right there. There was still an angle on both sides, so I could still, you can notice right there, it still comes towards the right, gets it away from the actual collector of the manifold, which is what I wanted to do. And then there are a couple more pies on top of that. The problem with the pies right here, there are 3 back-to-back welds, if you can see right here. That one right there is because those I actually had originally when I was doing the base, and I had blown out holes because I wasn't doing it how I'm doing it now. Kind of inferior to how I'm doing it now. So I had blown out 3 holes, and I tacked it on this side and right here as well, on both sides, but I didn't have anything really holding this side. So since there were 3 holes, I took the opportunity to take it to the vise, clamp it down, and add some filler rod, just a little bit, to get those tacks where it needs to be and not have that gaping hole right there. I also added another tack right there on this side, so it's more support. But it's looking pretty good. I'm really stoked with how it's looking so far. It's like a crazy bend right there, another bend like that. and I think you guys can get an idea. I didn't want to come too close to this side because the T1 trigger is going to be bolted right there. So although this is just the bracket, it's not going to worry about getting hot right here. The sensor sits around right there, so we're not too worried about the exhaust. I just wanted to have like about this much clearance because of the T1 bracket. This is eventually, I'm gonna add some more cuts like this, and I think I'm gonna have it come out somewhere around there. But I just really wanted to get a nice like up pipe on this side. And like I said earlier, I could just do a 90 right there or a 90 up, something basic, but I wanted to give it more of like a curvature right there. And I'm pretty stoked with how it's coming out so far. Definitely gonna need to do more pie cuts because although I have this one right here, it's very thin, I don't wanna use it. And there are some pretty thin ones right here that I'm gonna be worried about when I come to weld them, but we'll figure it out as we go. Let me see. Yeah, I still have plenty of pipe left. That's for the pie cuts, and then this was like for straight check sections if I wanted to end up doing that later. But I think this is gonna be enough to finish the whole up pipe, to be honest. And yeah, I'm gonna add those later. Right now I have to run to Walmart and run some errands, so I'm gonna leave this right here for the time being, but we are looking pretty good, guys. Skip forward about maybe 2 hours. We got our bottle filled. We had to go and get it filled because it was empty, obviously. So we added some parts on the up pipe that I'm actually not too happy about. That being that right there. And not that it's bad or anything, but after this portion, I should have just gone straight up instead of trying to do more pie cuts and whatnot. I was trying to look quote unquote fancy or whatever, but it's whatever. It's only tacked on. That's the beauty of tacking everything on before you actually start welding everything together. As for the bottom section, I'm really happy with how the curve is and everything. So I did start welding right here. And like I mentioned, still a beginner, so trying to get this down and whatnot. Got about almost half of the bottom section done. Right under half probably. And it's not back purged or anything, so it's not pretty inside. But eventually, to be honest with you, since I have the welder and whatnot, I'm the type of person that would probably make like 3 or 4 different up pipes for the same exact car, just because I want to keep on practicing and keep on experimenting. But it's not perfect, like I said. Inside, it's got all the crud from not being back purged, but I'm pretty happy with it. As for how it looks on the car, as of right now, it would be kind of like this, which isn't awful, to be honest. Notice that I started welding on the back. That way I could kind of find my groove. By the time I get to the top, it'll look a lot better. But yeah, I'm kind of looking like this on the up pipe, but I don't know. I might end up chopping it like right in that center right there and then just go straight up. Give it a little more angle right there. Who knows? We'll see. But this is what I got so far, guys. I don't know. I'm gonna keep on welding and probably get the bottom section done. I'll be using a lot of gas. This is a small bottle, so I don't know if I'll end up finishing this bottle tonight, but we'll see. Just keep on practicing, you know? Okay, so it's clamped on right there loosely. I kind of had an idea, since it has that crazy 90 right there and kind of like a 45 so far right there. I kind of want to give it, this is just the 90 that I played with yesterday, this is trash. I kind of wanted to give it like another 90 right there, then be really dumb and just do another 90 up top. Maybe just have it like finish up flat towards the top. I don't know. I'm still playing with ideas, but I'm not sure. I'm not gonna finish it tonight. It's already nighttime. I'm gonna clean up the garage for right now. But I'm thinking maybe something like this. Or even just do another 90 and straight up. I'm not sure, but I'm really loving how the pies came out. Eventually I wanna get a nice like big cup and be able to do the nice colors or whatever. And obviously I want to get like a back purging kit. That'll let me actually get the inside welds to be nice and protected with the argon gas and whatnot. But for the first up pipe, especially like this, I'm pretty stoked. Definitely a lot of stuff to come out of this machine. Another thing I was thinking, what if I were to aim this down? I gotta take it off to do that, but aim it down and have it go under the manifold and then up right here. That was another idea I was thinking. I don't know. I'll have to play with some ideas. I guess it could work. I'd have to cut this off right there because the angle isn't gonna let it go nice and clear under the manifold, and then bring it that way. But thinking about it, it's gonna be a lot of unnecessary. I might end up making another one, to be honest, and do it like that. But for the time being, I think I'll just do up. And if I do it like that, then I'll have to mess with the drain and whatnot. I haven't made a drain, but it's gonna run into like the wastegate and whatnot. The wastegate will sit right there. Probably have the exit somewhere right here. So I'll probably have this one go straight up and then the wastegate exit on this side, if anything. So obviously I don't have a wastegate yet. That's in the works, but yeah, we'll do something like that. All right, for the people who are already subscribed to the channel, and even if you haven't, you might have seen it online. You know that the company S1 Build actually specializes in all-wheel drive components. You saw us use their all-wheel drive complete kit for the trailing arms and a few other components for our all-wheel drive Honda CRX that we built here on the channel. That stuff works flawlessly. Now they just released this product not too long ago, and this not only works for all-wheel drive components, but you can also use it on front-wheel drive cars. In this case, our turbo Integra. I'm super stoked about this because I saw it online. It's beautiful, and they were nice enough to send us over a set to show you guys. And these are available online. And the great thing about them, there's so many applications, not only for all-wheel drive components, like I said, but front-wheel drive as well. And it has a purpose. Let me get this all unboxed first. Okay, so here we have our all-wheel drive slash front-wheel drive billet lower control arms by S1 Build. This is beneficial in so many different reasons. A couple of them, if you're going all-wheel drive, this will actually let you put your shock a little bit of a different placement using the adjustability that this offers. Not only that, but then for front-wheel drive, as well as all-wheel drive, you could say also, this has spherical bushings, both on the back end, or the chassis side, excuse me, as well as the actual side for the trailing arm. What does that mean for example, 60-foot or suspension travel? When you try to make a lot of power in these cars and you put them down, the stock rubber, the stock bushings, they always tend to bind and give out. Why does Honda and many other manufacturers use the actual rubber bushing from the factory? The reason being, it's very comfortable and very reliable to drive on. When we want to put power down, you want to take away as much slack of suspension as possible, so your actual shocks and your assembly of the suspension can do their work. So this right here lets you load the car. The spherical lets you actually adjust it how it needs to be done. And this right here, the center, actually adjusts in as well as out. In, out, adjusting your wheelbase in and out. Now to use this component, you're going to want to get a camber kit as well. And if you kind of just think about it for a second, this comes out and then you extend your camber kit as well. You're bringing the wheel out further. You want to do the opposite, bring it in like this, you bring your camber kit inside and you're bringing the wheel closer to the chassis. What are you doing right there? If your fitment isn't perfect, for example, you can use this to bring it in or bring it out. Do whatever you want fitment wise. We're gonna put these on the front wheel drive Integra. I'm not gonna install it as of right now because I flipped the car around. You can see in the garage it's actually facing the other way it was from the other video, and we can't really work on the rear at the moment. We're working on the exhaust. But huge thank you to S1 Build. We're gonna be using these to the best ability and show you guys exactly how this works for suspension and how you can benefit from it. Whew. Well, yeah, guys, that does pretty much sum up the video for today. I know it was a little bit longer than our typical one. The last video that I uploaded was also about 30 minutes. We used to do about 15 or 10-minute videos, but I'm trying to get into longer stuff just like I was back when the Integra was being built the last time around. More DIYs, more how-to videos, stuff for you guys to follow at home. That being said, thank you so much for everybody who stuck around. If you're only able to watch part of the portion of the video and then skip forward to the end, that's completely fine too, whatever is best for you guys. If you aren't already subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe and notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with not only the build, but the steps that we do here on how to build stuff at home. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.